to him, and it was like, what are we going to do? Somebody is coming to take our baby away. Like, how do we make sense of that? And so we sat there for a little while, and it got to a point where my husband couldn't help me anymore, and I couldn't help my husband anymore. So I got in the car, and I took a ride, and I started to talk to God, and I said, look, and I started to talk to myself first, actually, because I'm like, okay, I'm about to write a letter to somebody that's going to make them want to give me their kids. Then I'm like, okay, that's not going to work, because we on the wrong side of the law this time. We don't have any rights in this situation. We're employees of the state. And then I got to thinking about where I'm from, and I was like, I got 10 uncles. Somebody gonna make a visit, and then next thing I know, we gonna be parents for real. And then I'm like, okay, no, 30 years old, you're an English teacher, you a Bible Belt American, you not tough, right? So then I said, God, it's clear to me that this is a losing situation for us unless you do something. You have to do something for us. You have to change the minds of these people for us, because that's the only way that we're going to realize this promise of this little boy being ours in our lives. I said, so God, I'm going to give it to you. And I gave it to him. And Monday came around and no phone call. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no phone call. And I'm like, okay, somebody's mind got changed. I'm good. But then I said, okay, but wait, God, because this isn't over. He's just 3 months. They said it takes, it can take up to 3 or 4 years to finish this process. If this happens again, you're going to have to give me a strategy for how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Because this week, I had no quality of life. I was constantly worried that somebody was coming to get my child. So you have to fix that for me. I can't do that again.
Yeah.
So I want to share with you a story in the Bible about a man that I didn't know a lot about until I started studying this, but I really admire the prophet Elisha in the Bible, because the same thing that we have to learn how to do, and I had to learn how to do dealing with tough situations, when you are doing the right thing, you're doing the thing that God has asked you to do, but trouble seems to find you anyway, and it's not like it seems to, it will find you when you're doing what you're supposed to do. How are we supposed to handle that? Okay, so before we read the text, I want to give you a little bit of background on Elisha. So we know that the prophet Elisha was very dedicated and committed to his mentor Elijah. And we know that he was committed to God, and he did exactly what God asked him to do at all times. But one thing that I learned that I didn't know beforehand is that Elijah is also actually a type and shadow of Jesus Christ. Okay? So if you look at the New Testament and you see some of the miracles that Jesus Christ did, you also see that Elijah did those miracles in the Old Testament as well. So there was a time in the New Testament when a synagogue leader came to Jesus and said, my 12-year-old daughter has fell dead. Please come and help us. And he raised her up from the dead. And in the Old Testament, a Shulamite woman came to Elijah and said, the son that you promised me is dead. And he went and he rose him up from the dead. And then in the New Testament, we see several times where Jesus feeds the multitude with just a little bit. And in the Old Testament, we see the same thing. Elijah feeds 100 men with about 20 loaves of barley bread. So we can see, the way that their lives parallel one another. And if you like me who loves Jesus, but you kind of intimidated with the idea of being just like Jesus, here's like Jesus' life. You can look at Elijah's life and be like, okay, that's a baby step. That's like a baby step to being Jesus, right? So let's read the text starting at 2 Kings 6 and 8. It says, now the king of Syria was making war against Israel, and he consulted with his servants, saying, my camp will be in such and such a place. And the man of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are coming down there. Then the king of Israel sent someone to the place of which the man of God, who was Elijah, had told him. Thus he warned him, and he was watchful there, not just once or twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing. And he called his servants and said to them, will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? Meaning, which one of you are betraying me? Which where's the snitch, basically. And one of his servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elijah the prophet, who was in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. So he said, go and see where he is, that I may send and get him. And it was told him, saying, surely he is in Dothan. Therefore he sent horses and chariots and a great army there. And they came by night and surrounded the city. And when the servant of the man of God arose early and went out, there was an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him,